I spent 25 years of my life standing behind a heady oak pulpit, 25 years wearing immaculately ironed suits, looking out over a sea of hopeful, desperate, terrified faces, and telling them the exact same thing. I told grieving mothers who had just buried their children that God had a mysterious plan. I told men whose businesses had collapsed and whose marriages had shattered that they just needed to pray harder. I told people drowning in the absolute darkest, most unforgiving trenches of human suffering that if they just had enough faith, the storm would pass, the skies would clear, and the miracle would arrive. I was a professional dispenser of hope. I was the guy you called when the world fell apart, because I always had the spiritual band-aid ready to apply over your bleeding artery. And then, exactly 42 days ago, I sat in a sterile, freezing cold oncologist's office. The doctor, a kind, exhausted woman with dark circles under her eyes, didn't offer me a band-aid. She didn't offer me a platitude about a mysterious plan. She looked at the scans illuminated on the glowing white screen on her wall, and she told me the biology. Glioblastoma, stage 4. Inoperable, aggressive, unforgiving, 3 months. Maybe 4 if I subjected myself to treatments that would essentially melt my brain before the tumor did. In that single, solitary, utterly silent moment in that clinic, my 25 years of theology evaporated. They vanished like morning mist hitting a branding iron. All the perfectly memorized scriptures, all the comforting theological theories about suffering, all the carefully constructed spiritual armor I had worn my entire adult life, it all shattered on the cold linoleum floor. Because when death looks you directly in the eyes, and it isn't an abstract concept you preach about on Sunday mornings, but a ravenous, ticking clock physically residing inside your own skull, the lies you've been telling yourself become deafening. My name is Arthur. I am 48 years old. I am a former pastor, a former devout believer in the prosperity of the soul, and I am actively dying. And I am making this video because I need to tell you the truth. I need to shatter the cruelest, most toxic, most destructive lie that is currently being sold to millions of people under the banner of having it all, faith. If you are going through hell right now, if you are waiting for a miracle, if you are eyeing your own existence because you think passive belief is going to save you, I need you to listen to me with every ounce of attention you possess. Because what I'm about to tell you could literally save the years you have left on this earth, not the way. Do not mute this. Let the discomfort in my voice wake you up. The cruelest lie about having faith is that faith means waiting for a rescue. We are culturally indoctrinated to believe that faith is a transaction. We are taught subtly, or sometimes explicitly, that if we are just good enough, if we pray hard enough, if we suppress our anger, our doubts, and our messy humanity, the universe or a divine being will reward us by removing the obstacle. We treat faith like a cosmic vending machine. Insert belief, receive miracle. And when the miracle doesn't come, when the tumor grows, when the spouse leaves, when the bank forecloses, when the depression deepens into a terrifying, suffocating black hole, the lie tells you that it's your fault. It tells you that your faith wasn't strong enough. It tells you that you must have a hidden sin, a hidden flaw, a lack of spiritual purity. It makes you the victim of your own tragedy, twice over. First, you suffer the tragedy. Second, you suffer the immense crushing guilt of believing you somehow spiritually caused it or failed to prevent it because you didn't believe enough. Is a psychological poison, and I administered it for decades. Let me tell you a story about a woman named Margaret. Margaret was a pillar of my congregation. She was in her early 60s, the kind of woman who baked casseroles for every sick family in the county, who led the youth choirs, who always had a gentle smile. Margaret's husband, Robert, was an alcoholic, a vicious, cruel, manipulative alcoholic who terrorized her behind closed doors. For 15 years, Margaret came to my office, weeping into sweet tissues, showing me the bruises on her arms, describing the emotional warfare she endured every single night. And do you know what I told her? I told her what my training taught me to tell her. I told her to have faith. I told her to pray for his heart to soften. I told her that God honors endurance, that suffering produces character, and that if she just kept being, Robert would be miraculously transformed into that loving husband. I handed her a spiritual sedative. I told her to stay in the burning building and wait for rain. Margaret stayed. She prayed. She endured. For 15 more years, she waited for the miracle. She sacrificed her mind, her body, and her spirit on the altar of passive faith. Robert never changed. He died in a drunk driving accident, leaving Margaret destitute, deeply traumatized, and a hollow shell of the vibrant woman she could have been. She spent her entire life in a waiting room, hoping a divine doctor would call her name. When I look back on Margaret now, sitting here with a tumor pressing against my frontal lobe, I don't feel pastoral warmth. I feel a sickening, overwhelming wave of nausea because I realize I didn't help her. I participated in her destruction. I used the concept of faith to convince her to abdicate her own agency. I used a corrupted theology to keep her paralyzed. Real faith, the kind of faith that actually sustains a human being in a terrifying universe, was not passive waiting. It is not closing your eyes and hoping the monster goes away. You might kill me, you might break my heart, you might destroy my plans, but you will not steal my agency. You will not make me a coward. Real faith is action. It is movement. It is the terrifying, exhilarating decision to walk into the dark, not because you are guaranteed a light at the end of the tunnel, but because walking is the honorable thing a human being can do. If this is resonating with you right now, if you suddenly realize you have been waiting for a rescue boat instead of learning how to swim, I need you to hit the subscribe button on this channel right now. Join this community. We are a collection of people who have stopped waiting for the magical fix and are starting to build our own lifeboats. Subscribe, because the world is going to constantly try to lull you back to sleep with cheap spiritual sedatives. You need this reminder. You need this alarm clock. Let's dive deeper into the mechanics of this lie, because it affects every area of your life, not just the religious parts. We apply this toxic version of faith to our careers. How many people do you know who are miserable in their jobs, working 60 hours a week for a corporation that treats them like a disposable spreadsheet cell? And their only strategy is hoping things get better? They have faith that eventually the boss will notice their hard work. They have faith that the promotion is just around the corner. They have faith that someday, somehow, the agonizing friction of their daily grind will miraculously transform into a fulfilling career. They are doing the exact same thing Margaret did. They are sitting in the burning building, waiting for the rain. We apply it to our relationships. We stay with partners who demean us, who ignore us, who drain our vital energy because we have faith that our love will eventually change them. We believe the Hollywood lie that if we just suffer beautifully enough, the other person will have a cinematic epiphany and trim into the partner we deserve. Newsflash for a dying man. People rarely change unless the pain of staying the same becomes greater than the pain of changing. Your passive, suffering faith is not a catalyst for their transformation. It is an enabler of their dysfunction. When I received my diagnosis, my initial instinctual reaction, the reflex built by 25 years of habit, was to fall to my knees and beg for a miracle. I bargained. I offered every conceivable trade. Take my savings. Take my career. Just give me 10 more years. Give me 5. Give me time to see my daughter graduate from college. I expected the supernatural reassurance I had promised to thousands of congregants. Do you know what I found in that study? Absolute, deafening, terrifying silence. The universe did not negotiate. The tumor did not shrink. The headache stayed. The nausea worsened. And in that silence, I experienced the darkest, most agonizing crisis of my entire existence. I felt completely abandoned. I felt like a cosmic fool who had dedicated his life to a phantom. But then, out of the ashes of that shattered illusion, something incredibly sharp, incredibly bright, and completely terrifying emerged. Reality. Unfiltered, brutal, majestic, unforgiving reality. I realized that by begging for an exception to the rules of biology, by demanding a miraculous rescue, I was completely missing the miracle that was already unfolding right in front of my eyes. The miracle isn't the cure. The miracle is the consciousness. The miracle is the fact that out of 14 billion years of explosive cosmic history, out of dead stars and freezing nebulas and swirling clouds of toxic gas, a localized pocket of matter organized itself into a biological machine capable of perceiving its own existence. The miracle is, and that I have eyes that can still see the brutal orange hue of the sunset over the horizon. The miracle is that I have a nervous system that can still feel the agonizing beauty of my daughter's hand gripping mine when she cries at my bedside. The miracle is that I can taste the cold, bitter bite of black coffee in the morning, feeling the warmth spray on my throat. The toxic lie of passive faith had convinced me that this physical world was just a waiting room, a dirty, flawed halfway house on the way to a perfect eternal destination. It had convinced me that the flesh was weak and the spirit was what mattered. It is a lie designed to make you tolerate misery. When you realize that this messy, painful, vibrating, loud, chaotic, beautiful present moment is the main event, everything shifts. When you realize there is no rescue boat coming, you suddenly discover how to swim. 3 weeks ago, I made a decision that shocked everyone who knew me. I resigned from my church. I packed up my theology books, the commentaries, the 1,000-page systematic theology volumes, and I put them in cardboard boxes in my garage. I stopped praying for an extended timeline, and I started ruthlessly auditing the timeline I had left. I didn't call him to preach at him. I didn't call him to offer a spiritual lesson. I called him and simply said, "Dave, I am dying, and I am so profoundly sorry I wasted a decade of our lives being a stubborn, arrogant fool. Can I come over?" We sat on his porch for 5 hours drinking cheap beer and crying. We didn't talk about God. We didn't talk about the afterlife. We talked about the time we stole a canoe when we were 12. We talked about how our mother laughed when she burned the Thanksgiving turkey. In those 5 hours on a rundown porch, surrounded by empty beer cans and the smell of cheap tobacco, I experienced more genuine, transcendent Holy Communion than I ever experienced in 25 years of perfectly orchestrated Sunday morning services. Because it was real, it wasn't curated, it wasn't wrapped in theological armor. That is the actual definition of salvation. Salvation is not escaping from the human condition. Salvation is plunging your hands completely into the dirt of the human condition and refusing to let go of the people next to you. I want you to think about the faith you are holding on to right now. Are you using faith as a shield to hide from the terrifying responsibility of taking action? Are you staying in the toxic job because you have faith it will get better? Quit. Send the email. Face the terrifying uncertainty of the job market. The uncertainty was where you will find your actual pulse. Are you staying in the dead, abusive, or loveless relationship because you have faith they'll transform? Leave. Pack the bags. Endure the devastating grief of the breakup. The grief is the price of admission to a genuine, authentic life. Are you ignoring your physical health, eating garbage, refusing to exercise because you have faith that doctors will fix you later, or that your soul all matters more than your body? Go for a walk. Feel the agonizing burn in your lungs. That burn is the proof that you are still a participant in the biological theater. Do not let the institution of passive belief rob you of the desperate, exhilarating agency of a short lifespan. If this message is violently shaking the cages you have built around yourself, I need you to hit the like button on this video. Not for the algorithm, not for my metrics, but as a digital, physical manifestation in the universe that you are deciding to wake up. Hitting that button is a micro action. It is a neurological signal to your own brain that you agree with the truth over the comforting lie. Do it right now. We are so obsessed with the concept of eternity that we completely dissect the sacredness of the ticking clock. A clock only has value because it counts down. If humans lived forever, a Tuesday afternoon would be utterly meaningless. A cup of coffee with an old friend, it'd have zero emotional weight because you could always just do it a million years from now. Death is not the enemy of meaning. Death is the absolute, uncompromising architect of meaning. The fact that my brain is slow failing. The fact that in a few weeks I'll be able to form a current sentence. The fact that by Christmas I will be a many in the minds of the people who love me. That is the pressure valve that makes right now so unbelievably vibrant. Yesterday, I spent 45 minutes just watching a single shaft of sunlight move slowly across the wooden floorboards of my living room. I watched the dust motes dancing in the beam of light. I traced the intricate, chaotic grain of the wood. I didn't try to extract a spiritual lesson from it. I didn't try to formulate a Swannon illustration about what a light of truth. I just watched the wood. I just watched the dust. I let the simple, raw metadata of the physical universe wash over my retinas, and I wept with an overwhelming, crushing sense of gratitude just for the privilege of witnessing it. I traded the illusion of eternity for the violent, beautiful reality of a Tuesday afternoon, and it was the best trade I ever made in my life. Don't wait for carnal diagnosis to make the trade. You do not have a guarantee of tomorrow. You do not have a guarantee of the end of this year. The statistical reality is that several people listening to my voice right now will be dead before the month is over. That shouldn't terrify you. That should wake you up. It should make you drop the phone, walk into the other room, grab partner by the shoulders, and kiss them like the apocalypse is coming, happening outside your window. It should make you call the friend you've been meaning to catch up with for 3 years and buy them a coffee today. It should make you tear up the 5-year plan that has been making you miserable and start designing a life that you actually want to inhabit in the present sense. Stop buying the lie. Stop waiting for the rescue boat. You are the rescue boat. You are the captain, you are the crew, and you are the ocean. Take the wheel. Steer into the storm. Embrace the terrifying, gorgeous responsibility of a finite existence. I am Arthur. I am dying. And the first time in 48 years, I am finally, truly, unconditionally awake. I challenge you right now as this video comes to an end. Do not just click away and watch another mind-numbing distraction. Do not go back to sleep. Go down to the comments section right now. Be brave. Drop the armor. I want you to write down one thing, one toxic weight, one passive hope, one dead relationship, or one miserable situation that you have been enduring the guise of having faith that it will get better. Write it down. Name the demon. Acknowledge the waiting room you have been sitting in. And then tell the world what actual, terrifying physical action you are going to take today to walk out of that room. Commit it to the digital record. Name your fear and then announce your action. Let the comments on this video become a manifesto of people who have decided to stop waiting and start living. And if you know someone in your life, a friend, a parent, a sibling, who is trapped in the waiting room, who is paralyzed by passive belief, share this video with them. You might be the chisel that cracks the concrete around their mind. You might save their life. Subscribe to the channel. Stay engaged with the truth. Do not let them fool you. You only get one ticket for this ride. Make it count.